US president has now urged Israeli Prime Minister to scale back on the bombings in Lebanon after Iran has warned of a major retaliation that could derail the ceasefire. Well, if Israel is going to actually heed to that very advice that is now coming in from the United States side, because if the two sides actually want a long and a lasting ceasefire in Iran, well, Iran is of the opinion that Lebanon is also very much part of this truce. However, this is being denied and rejected by Israel and also by the United States of America. So Trump is now in a way asking that Israel not to bomb, Lebanon so much as far as, the Hezbollah command centers are concerned. Israel on its position, is Srinjoy, because they have a completely different military objective. For them, Hezbollah is still very much a big threat.
Yes, the Hezbollah has a lot of rockets, some missiles, and they have been aiming, their targets have been in North Israel from South Lebanon, and they have been effective in the past. Now, very few non-national armies, very few organizations have as many or had as many missiles and rockets as the Hezbollah once had. The numbers may have come down. They have been battered, but they are still deadly, which is why the Israelis decided that they would finish off the Hezbollah in a way that they've finished off the Hamas, which is why, again, they have hit all these targets in South Lebanon. But the problem is the Hezbollah realizes they're being targeted in South Lebanon. So what do? They go northwards. They go up towards Beirut. And there, if they are in the middle of a capital city, if in the middle of a densely populated urban area, even congested urban area, and there are strikes, they are bound to be casualties. And as you rightly said, there were 300 deaths. 300 deaths and 1,000 people injured. That's a lot of people. So this is the problem. All the Hezbollah leaders are in and around Beirut. Israel knows where they are, yes, and they are targeting those areas.
Absolutely, because as far as Israel is concerned, it is still showing no signs of backing down at all, because there has been a fresh wave of strikes that has been also carried out by Israel on the southern part of Lebanon. However, Lebanon, which has openly denounced when it comes to Hezbollah presence on its territory is concerned, but Iran, however, seems to be insisting that as far as this truce call is concerned, Hezbollah and when it comes to Lebanon is still very much a part of it, because as far as its resistance movement is concerned, here is Iran, which is now seeking a cover-up or a shield or a protection as far as for its proxies is concerned, and that are now spread across as far as Hamas in Gaza. We're talking about Houthis in Yemen, and now talking about also Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. And there you can see as far as the strikes that have been carried out in Beirut in Lebanon, that is deep in the city, which are civilian infrastructures that have mainly been attacked, and over 300 people have been reportedly killed. And this is where Iran has been warning of a major retaliation that could derail the ceasefire talks, because as far as Iranian media reports suggest that their delegation has not been dispatched for Pakistan at all. So both sides refusing to budge. There is not much flexibility that can be seen on either sides, but we'll take you through as far as when it comes to the two sides and the two versions that are now coming across. What the US has been saying while drawing the line, saying that the ceasefire holds in Gulf. Iran, however, is pushing back, saying that the ceasefire must include Lebanon, to which Israel and US is denied. Lebanon is not part of the deal, says US. However, Iran has been pushing back, saying that US cannot have the war and the truce, and this is not on their terms and conditions that we are going to agree for this peace proposal. However, Israel versus Hezbollah is equal to a separate war. So US says that it is not a war. It is something that Israel has been dealing with. However, Iran is of the opinion that ball is in your court. If you want us on the talking table, if you want to hold a dialogue with us, then include Lebanon in the truce deal. And that seems to be what US is of the opinion, that truce is only limited to Iran front. So Iran is not being attacked by the United States is something that what they are putting on the table. However, Iran says that who will respond to Israeli strikes, because they want to respond also to the Israeli strikes, because the retaliation on what Iran has done has been continuing in the Gulf. The Strait of Hormuz has been closed again. And as far as Israel is concerned, that has continued a fresh strikes on southern Lebanon on Hezbollah command centers. Let's, in the meantime, We are getting you the updates on the pictures that have been coming in, because this still seems to suggest that Israel is not backing down when it comes to its attacks on southern Lebanon is concerned. Now, will it be a part of the so-called ceasefire talks is now concerned? Because, Srinjoy, that remains in question. Will the Islamabad talk happen in the first place? Because both sides are not ready to budge.
Yes, the sticking point is Lebanon. I mean, there may be many sticking points, but the big one is Lebanon. If the Hezbollah continues to be a force, if Israel continues to hit Lebanon, and if Iran continues to object to the strikes in Lebanon, then it's difficult to see talks happening. That's a lot of ifs to start with. But then Iran is making it clear that the strikes have to stop. The strikes against their ally, the Hezbollah, have to stop. And once they stop, only then are they going to talk. But how are the strikes going to stop? Because Israel says that, look, we have a truce. We have a ceasefire. But this ceasefire relates to Iran. It doesn't relate to the Hezbollah. It doesn't relate to the Lebanon. So therefore, at this point, it becomes very difficult for all three sides, or more if necessary, to sit together in Islamabad.
Yes.
And then, if the defense minister of Pakistan has said
Pakistan's neutrality is something that is being questioned on part of Israel's side after this very outrageous statement that was made by their defense minister.